Excellent. Hi guys, welcome back to Future's podcast, Spot the Difference, part 2 with Gary Mutimer. I hope you've enjoyed the first episode. If you have not seen it, check it out on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And it'll give you a bit of background, obviously, as to the first episode, and as to Gary's history, his struggles with his physical and mental health. And then we're just going to carry that on today, again, joined by James. So Gary, if you want to give us a 60-second recap for anyone that hasn't seen it, or just to re-jog the memory, and then we'll carry on from there.
Yeah, so in 2016, I was in the latter part of 2016, I was diagnosed with stage 2 kidney cancer and a heart condition called aortic stenosis. And this came totally out of the blue. I was extremely fit. I was 15 stone, carrying 60% body fat, going to the gym, working out all the time. I was living life to the full, so to speak. I got the diagnosis, and I was more upset about the heart condition than I was the cancer, because I was asymptomatic. It was focused for the rest of the next best part of the year, or the year even, on my physical health, and I totally ignored my mental health, which was a massive mistake. So, you know, what I'll be talking about shortly is focusing on your mental health equally as important as what your mental health is, and it's important to care for both.
Brilliant. So yeah, I think that brings us up with you. Obviously, last time we finished on obviously talking about the values that obviously you use day to day, and what sort of impact and importance you place on obviously your family, the missus and things like that, and routines that you've got yourself into, obviously meditation and things like that. So I think just to go on from there, it's obviously just to continue the story as to when them routines might have been tested a little bit, or what happened next, so to speak.
So for a long time, I didn't actually realise I was poorly with my mental health. I just thought I was absolutely normal, and you've got to define what normal is. Everybody's different. Everyone's an individual. So what's normal to me is so normal to anyone who's watching this. And I didn't realise I was poorly. You know, I live with a clinical psychologist. She told me I was poorly, and I still ignored her. I didn't think she was. I just thought she was having a go. Do you know what I mean? And I was being very self-centered and selfish and stuff like this. But it was around about the January time, and we were having a walk along Tynemouth Beach, so far away from Tynemouth, and we're having a walk along Tynemouth Beach, and halfway through this walk, I just had a meltdown. I mean, I blew off. You know, there's people walking towards you, and you know, it's like everything. You just move to one side. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's on the footpath going around the side of the top of the beach. But I didn't know how the big meltdown. Lost my temper with a great big bloke, and how we didn't take his shoulders to this day, I'll still never know. I was rude, I was obnoxious, and I just stormed off like an absolute petulant child. I stormed off, and I can't even tell you, I wasn't even anxious. Well, I don't feel like I was anxious, and I don't feel like I was up a height, and I don't feel like I was anything before that walk. That particular night, Sarah was going off to uni up at Glasgow, and you know, she left sooner rather than later because she was sick of the way I was going on. She was upset because I was obnoxious. Didn't realise at the time I was poorly, and that was the first indication that I realised something was wrong. Anyway, without going into individual times when I've had a meltdown, so to speak, or when we joke about it now, we call it the Tynemouth meltdown, and we laugh about it, you know. And if I see that bloke again, and if he remembers me and thinks that's that Carl Pilkington lookalike, on his shoulders, to be fair. But that's when I realised I wasn't well and things weren't making sense. And you know, there's a lot of stigma around, and this is what really annoys me about mental health. There's a lot of stigma about mental health and what it is, and you've got to remember, depression is different for everybody. I thought if you've got depression, you don't sleep, you don't eat, you don't do anything, you just sit there like a vegetable, so to speak, in that term. But I didn't. I slept loads and I ate loads. And I did it. So I didn't actually think I was poorly. So because I couldn't go to work, because I was in a physical risk, I lost everything in terms of my business. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I literally, this is past the surgery time, I could only go for short walks. And these were the walks I haven't done at Tynemouth Beach. But typical Gary Mutimer, you don't do anything by the book. I was going for longer walks, and I was going off wandering up all over the place once Sarah was away in Glasgow. And I was making myself worse and worse, both physically and mentally. But all the time I was ignoring my mental health. And this kind of spiraled even further into control, that I wasn't able to work, so I lost my business. And just as I was getting back on my feet, by just doing odd consultancy bits here and there, I remember one particular night, still had a bit of an idea of what I want in business and what I'd like to do. To truth be honestly known, I hate business. I can't stand it. It's the biggest bane of my life is a business. And I'm saying that, and I'm not saying that because I might be successful or might not be successful, depending on what your point of view is. I'm saying it as because I really genuinely, honestly mean this. I hate business because business is very reflective of what mental health is. So what I mean by that is, as a director of a company, the book stops with you. And you can have the best stuff in the world. You could have the worst stuff in the world, to be fair. It doesn't really matter. The book stops at you. So when it's going good, your business, and it's going fantastic, you ride a crest of a wave. It's great. It's fun. Do you know what I mean? Everyone wants to speak to you. Everyone's involved. You get some really positive messages. And that's kind of what it's like with mental health. So when your mental health is fine, and you don't really realize it's fine, you're just going around your day-to-day business, everything else is fine. Do you know what I mean? So you're enjoying life, you're looking forward to going out with your girlfriend or your wife or your mates, whatever. You're looking forward to going to the football, the rugby, just whatever your life's doing, okay? When it goes back, if you go back for a number of reasons, when it goes bad, you're left purely by yourself, and it's 1s and 2s o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep because your mind, and as a director, this happens to absolutely everybody, your mind is consumed with what ifs, can do's, possibilities. Would this happen? Would this fail? Would this work? Not work? Far-flung ideas that you think are genius at 2 o'clock in the morning. We haven't read at 8:30, they're not a good idea. But then some ideas at 2:30 in the morning are the best ideas you'll ever have. It's just, that's business. And I absolutely hate it. I hate the process. I don't enjoy it. I don't like going to meetings. I get bored in meetings. And I've even walked out in meetings for that very reason. With the Sunderland Football Club, I walked out of a meeting because that bored the life out of me. And I just left. Bearing in mind, in my defense, I wasn't very mentally well at the time. So if you put that down, it's fine. But while I was lying about and I was feeling sorry for myself, and I was feeling sorry for myself. So while I was lying about and I was actually had depression, I was coming up with different ways of what I would want in, view. It's all about me. And this is what depression does to you. It makes it all about you. And it's the same as being a director. It's all about you and what you want, because it's what you need to sustain a business. So I remember sitting there thinking, what would I want? What would I need? And I remember focusing more on that than I did about my own mental health. As the year went on, I was getting worse and worse with this. It was getting trouble. And around about the September time, just climbed Scarfell Pike. I'm always hiking this. And I climbed Scarfell Pike and I felt great. I came off and I felt fine. 2 weeks later, the blackout started, and the focus was back on the physical health, and all the way through to me being admitted to hospital. This went on for a good few weeks and months. I stopped driving, the blackouts, they were getting worse and worse. While I was in hospital to have open heart surgery, to have a valve replaced, it transpired that I now had not only aortic stenosis, but cardiomyopathy, and had an aortic. I was told that the aortic aneurysm can burst at any time, and I've got approximately 10 days left to live if I don't do surgery soon. So I'm a very flippant person. I said, well, that's okay. That's not for me to worry about. That's for you to worry about. That's what you're paid to do. Knock yourselves out. I'm just here anyway. And we just laughed about it, and I laughed it off. Really, I should have took that very serious, because someone's saying to you, you've got 10 days left to live. And just me being the complete moron I am, I just was flipping with it. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Well, let's have surgery and it'd be cool. Anyway, to cut long story short, when I had the surgery, I had James Cook Hospital. And when I came out of intensive care and back onto the ward, I was horrible to the staff. In fact, I was horrible before I went in for the surgery, because I felt I wasn't having, I didn't see me the night before and stuff like this. And it was, in the defense, there were great staff, fantastic staff. They were just under a lot of pressure and didn't need an idiot like me whining at them. But that's a separate issue. One day I'll go down there when I'm brave enough and apologise. In my recovery from that, this is where it all really kicked in, because I had if you go back a bit, in my recovery from the cancer, and I really wasn't well at this point, and I can't reiterate how poorly I really was. I thought it'd be a genius idea to launch a newspaper in Sunderland. It's the worst idea I've ever had in my entire life. It really is the most stupidest idea. And if I could take it back, believe me, I'll take that back and never go near that. Okay, because one, newspapers don't sell. Two, advertising for in the newspapers is a nightmare. And three, I employed the worst thing. Nothing against them as individuals, they just weren't suited to that role. And I acquired a business partner who owns a place in Sunderland, and we just don't get on. And, there's side issues there. I won't mention it on camera, but we just don't get on. And I feel like he's ripped me off, and he probably feels like I ripped him off. It just is what it is. So fast forward back thingy, I am being really dramatic. Fast forward back to the future, when I was lying up in recovery, I had a bailiff knock at the door. I've never had a bailiff in my life. It was all through the newspaper business. Now, I had to go, and I'm very open about this, because this is another thing that really bugs me. So there's big stigma around mental health, and there's big stigma around insolvency, okay? For me, I fought both of them at the same time, which really killed me. So because I couldn't pay bills, because I couldn't do anything, and I wasn't allowed out of the house. So if we were in isolation, what we are now, back then, I would have been among the 12 weeks, the 1.5 billion. I couldn't go in there and do anything. And I remember arguing with this guy, and he wasn't a proper bailiff, I'm sure, because he owned the mark by being an absolute wally and stuff like that. I ended up fight with him when we tried. Bearing in mind, I shouldn't even be standing up. I'm a feisty, fiery son on the best of days. This sank like the Titanic with Sarah. So that I went into insolvency. I bankrupted myself, and I did that, and no regrets for that whatsoever. That was up against was business partners. So it is. But I don't have regrets for that. So I decided then, what do I want to do in business? For me, I didn't want to be in business. So sorry, I've just missed a little bit stupid. This is completely mad. So while I wasn't well from the cancer, and just as I was coming down Scarfell Pike, I decided, because I couldn't do anything, I'd go and do an access course at college. So I was halfway through doing an access course when I was in depression. And then halfway through that, and it timed in just quite nice because we had Christmas, so everyone was off anyway. I had open heart surgery halfway through, but I didn't miss a college day. Genius! I got somebody to pick me up from the house, take me in, use the lift into the classroom, took me tablets while I was in, and back out. Didn't miss anything. And I still got a distinction for that part of it. Anyway, side issue. Whatever. So I had a lot going. I had a lot going on. I had dealings with an ex-business partner who was rightly upset. I had a more or less physical fight with a bailiff on the doorstep. It was just a little fat hobbit, really. It wasn't nothing. Excuse the language, I think I referred to him as a fucking dwarf, but whatever. And I had the argument with him, and then I still had literally mass suicidal thoughts. I was contemplating every day, how can I kill myself? And I was coming with ingenious ways. Like, like walking out in front of wagons, getting over by the number 51 bus. We recommend that one. Or take tablets, or just disappear for days, and I'm being really flippant with it, but that's what it's like for me, And now, as I speak to you every day, it's not something I think of, but it's always in the back of my mind, if that makes any sense. I'm very aware of it. And what I did was I started trying to channel, I think Sarah, in the March time, this is in the January, we got through to the March time. And I remember coming in from college one night, and I was walking down. I used to get to the college was in North Shields, at Queen Alexandra College. I live in Holystone, just next to Northumberland Park, and I remember getting the metro back, walking at 8:30, walking down with my rucksack and my big, jacket, and feeling sorry for myself. And I came in and just took my clothes off in the hallway, and I went straight to bed. And that's when I knew I hit the brick wall. And what I mean by this is, so for me, it took me a year and a half to hit a brick wall. It took me a lot of suicidal thoughts, a lot of depression, a lot of self-pity as well to hit this brick wall. And I remember Sarah in the bed next to me with this, and she was just stroking my head, and I fell asleep. And the next day I woke up, and then my mindset was just totally different. It was like, bollocks to this. I'm now second best. I'm now second best in mental health. What even is that? It's something inside you. You can't. It's not as if you can go and fight a person for that, or you can fight an object, or you can fight a system. It's in your head. So my mindset started changing. And Sarah, Sarah talked to me a lot about change, because she said I was very negative, about changing the positivity. And the positivity came where I started then saying to myself, I was lucky to get cancer. And I was lucky to get cancer at stage 2. And granted, that cancer was an 8-centimeter tumor on my kidney, but it was still stage 2. If it was on the other side of my kidney, it might have spread. It probably would have spread. But if I didn't get the cancer, I would never have known about the heart condition. I would have gone asymptomatic. And what would have happened is I'd have probably been like the footballer Fabrice Mwanga, who collapsed on the pitch playing Bolton and Tottenham. And I would have had a severe heart attack somewhere. And he was lucky that he did it on a football pitch, and there was a cardiologist in the stand watching. So this could have happened to me anywhere. Driving, walking, bugging. There's not that many defibs about. So I started changing the mindset. It was all about, I had to then go in and search into myself and change. I went to the doctors and told them that I've been feeling suicidal. And they said, have you tried anything? I lied to them. I said, no, I had. But I wasn't going to tell them that. So for 8 days, you've got no chance. Just give you some sertraline, and off we went. Antidepressants, it's one of them. It's either there are short-term problems, there are long-term fix or short-term problem in my mind. You need to change your lifestyle. You need to change what's around you, and you need to change your mindset. That's what depression is. And you've also got to remember with depression, or even, and I've never had anxiety, so I'm not placed to talk about that. I can only talk about what's happened to me. Is what depression looks like for me would be totally different for what depression might look like to you if you had it or have it. Your triggers might be different. Your wants and needs will be totally different. What you value is totally different. And what you appreciate and what you don't appreciate is totally different. So I think when people talk about depression, they kind of lump it in, oh, well, you've got depression, you then break it down again, because we're all individual. We all look different, we all think different, and we all perceive things as being different. And this is what really bugs me about society. So I started telling people I was mental. I thought, I'll teach you, so yeah, I'm mental. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Genius. You can't have a go at this because I'm actually mental. So, and I'll stop playing on it a bit. I think she's onto it, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh God. But I started going back saying, right, so I changed my mindset. I'm now lucky that I had cancer. I'm lucky I had cancer because I discovered I had a heart condition and I could have had surgery. And I had a valve replacement, which means now in my chest, I've got a mechanical valve in, and it ticks and ticks and ticks. I take warfarin every day. I also take ramipril and propofol every day to slow my heart rate down and my blood pressure down. However, I argue this point every time I see the cardiologist because I don't think I need it because I don't have a heart condition. Okay, the warfarin, we can argue about that another day because it's in your blood. So you change your mindset, you change everything. I mean, I'm argumentative. I can't help it. It's just I argue with everything. I'll argue the point with absolutely everything until I'm either proven right or proven totally wrong. I should be sectioned for being stupid. But so what I was thinking, I remember thinking, right, one, I think I'm unemployable. I generally think I'm unemployable because one, I think I know better. Two, I often do know better. And three, I'm not the most intelligent person, but I'm often better than a person sitting opposite me. In that sense, I'll argue it's unemployable in that sense. So what do? And like I say to you, and I'm being very sincere when I say this, I hate business. I can't stand it. I don't like the process of meetings. I think they're ridiculous. I don't like the process of then branding. Sometimes it gets on my nerves. I don't like any of it. What I do like is sitting on my backside and doing nothing, but we can't do that because it doesn't pay the bills unless you're a YouTuber. Ta-da. Whatever, But I started coming up with an idea. So while I was hired to kite, this is after my heart surgery, coffee and red wine. Don't try that at kids' home. Do not try that at home, kids, because that is, one, it's illegal, and two, it's dangerous. It's a bit like Trump telling us all to drink Dettol. Let's not do that either.
Only if Donald Trump says.
But that's just, it's an individual advice thing. That's why he's probably orange, but whatever. So I came up with and I'd already worked in VR at a great length, and I came up with a different concept of what that would look like. So I could leave the house and I was missing events, and I'm nosy. I like to know everything that's happening at that event, not just what you see in the stand. I want to see everything else, like the dugout, the lot. So we started testing it in my head. Be a great idea. Spoke to a couple of people who work in XR, and I'm talking about UX designers and developers. And they said, yeah, that's actually doable. I said, right. So I've got no money. So what we'll do is I'll do you a favor. You build that for me. I'll give you shares in it. And I'll give you 10%. So what's 10%? What is 10%? We don't know what it's worth, do we? So it could be 10 quid. It could be 10 million pounds. It could just be anything. We just don't know. And we went off and had some fun. And it worked. And I can't, for legal reasons, can't talk on camera too much about what that looked like and where I sold it to. All I can say is I sold it to the license to a big footballing organisation in Europe that owns everything. Whatever they're called.
Cannot be more specific.
But it's just done a lot of football stuff, and they own everything. Weird. And they're bigger than UEFA. So what I did was, I worked out, and the way I did that is because the one thing I am good at is I'm an ideas man and I'm a door opener. And what I mean by that is I don't sell to people. I'm not sellable. I'm not a salesperson. A salesperson is. I'm cheeky, I'm brazen, and I just ask questions. And if somebody says no, one, I'll ask them why they've said no. Then two, I'll just accept it if that's fine. Do you know what I mean? But in business, a lot of the time, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And you know, they might not have all the answers, but again, you go to them and say, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? And they say, well, no, but I can help you at A, B, and C. And you start filling the dots in yourself, you know? So my concept idea was put forward to a local football team. The local football team, we trialed it. And we can now manipulate advertising spends and stuff like this. We can, whatever you decide, you know, you wanted, you could do it with the music. We did it with music as well. We did it with a band, a national band. We live streamed it out onto VPN sites. And all this came from just a half drunk off your head morphine idea. So I thought this would be genius to do this because I know what I like. And I had this idea, and then before you knew it, again, it's not what you know, it's who you know, you can open doors. So I now talk a lot to people. Have your idea, and you rub shoulders with the people who can make it happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, now, so I'm in a position now where we've totally relaunching and rebranding over the next 12 weeks. You'll see Rebel Technologies coming to the forefront. Rebel Technologies is going to be creating this tech en masse, and this tech will be seen hopefully everywhere. We've already had lengthy conversations with the NFL about live streaming NFL games into your headset in your home. So if you're sitting in Sunderland or you're sitting in, well, anywhere, and you put the headset on, you can live stream into that game. You might live stream into the Dallas Cowboys versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, for argument's sake. And then what you'll see is a different game to what the average opponent would see. You'd be on the line now, you'd be in the changing rooms within reason. You know, you don't want to see some hairy arse walking past. You'll be in with the commentators, and you'll be able to speak to commentators, and you'll have a conversation with commentators and stuff like that. I'm launching an academy, which launches in September. It's going to be headquartered in Newcastle. There's a satellite centre going to be opening in Sunderland. I can't confirm on camera where that's going to be. And there's going to be a satellite centre opening up in Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Preston, to name but a few. We've already had lengthy conversations with Melbourne and Perth, Australia, Berlin and Munich, Pittsburgh and New York, and Luxembourg, as well as Nigeria, for follow-on sites for the academy. And so to give you foundation degrees to BSc, and PhDs. And the BSc and PhDs will work as part of the thesis student, and you come on board with the academy, and you do say 2-year foundation degree. The 3rd year option will be to either go to Australia, America, into mainland Europe, or to South Africa. So it's going to be a big selling point for the students in that sense. Now, the reason the academy came about was very important, because when I had the original deal with this organisation that I can't mention on camera, it was then we had to then film every one of their locations, and it was only after I realised that that's a lot of locations and we haven't got a lot of people. How do we do that? And I took to the wine without the morphine. I was safe this time, and I came up with a very flippant idea, because I'm a very flippant person, of creating an academy. And what would that academy then look like? You know, so we know the academy needs to deliver this course to create the manpower, because there is the manpower, and they can come and work directly on the technologies and go that way. But then in that process, I came to the attention of like companies like Epic Games and stuff like this, and they said, "Well, are you going to be doing gaming?" Well, no, I'm not. But if you want to partner and we can do something, and it's an outlet for students to go to in the gaming industry, then we'll do that. And when I say it's, in this business world, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, it's irrelevant what business you're in. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So the people you talk to, don't go in to that relationship, looking at what their contact list is, go and have a look at what they can offer you. So I've got 2 mentors that I speak to on a regular basis. One's not even in tech, he's in property, quite a lot of property. I mean, business parks property. The other one is, he's in tech. He's in Northeast Tech. So I go to him and I speak to them on various different stuff about, is this possible? Is that possible? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Anything that might be troubling me that I can't speak to about the average Joe? Things that aren't making sense and stuff like that. So I've got an outlet now in business. So my mental health is then protected. Because I meditate twice a day and I think through my own process and thoughts. Sorry, James, what?
I was just going to say, did you do that before this with mentors? Or was that a sort of something that you adopted after to sort of to help? And because business can be very, I know you've said you don't like it, and I understand entirely why, but it can be quite lonely as well, especially when you're at the top. So was that, a conscious decision to do so?
Yeah, so in my previous business, I didn't have any mentors. I just rolled with the punches, and we did all right, to be fair, we did all right. When I created a newspaper and went up against the Sun and Echo and stuff like that, I didn't have a mentor. And at that time, you've got to put into context, I wasn't very well mentally. I was bad. That was probably the lowest ebb. And I launched, in one breath, like Sarah says to me, you should be proud of yourself. If you went off and created a newspaper, printed it and distributed it around the city, bearing in mind, you didn't win very well at the time. So you've got to take the positives out of the negatives. And there is, if you dig around, there is positives. It is what it is. But I didn't have any mentors. So this time, I already knew that you can either get 2 types of mentors, the ones you pay for and the ones that do it out of the kindness of the heart. And I went for the ones that did it out of the kindness of the heart. Not because I'm a tight kid or anything like that. It's, I thought they're the ones who are going to give you the genuine answers. They're the ones who are going to actually say to you, you know what, this is what you need to think of, or you thought of that. And I went off and I've got these 2 mentors now. I need to check in with them because I haven't spoken to them for a few weeks. But so when you're at the top and you say to a lonely place, it's like you're naked on Roker Beach. There's nothing there. It's like when I had cancer, there's just nothing there. You're exposed to everything. You start naked, you're exposed to the bad wind and bad elements. You don't get any protection. So I thought, right, I need to change my approach on absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. So the one thing I'm working on now is motivation. My motivation's a nightmare. It always has been. So I've got protection. And what I mean by that is I've got mental protection. I've got psychological safety. I've got a partner who are extremely close. It's like I tell her everything. Sometimes I bore her with everything. That's a side issue. So I tell her everything. I've got a strong relationship with my family. And I've got good business relationships. That is, I've got psychological safety that I can go to them and say, do you know what? I'm thinking about floating a business on the stock market. What do you think? One might choke on his drink, and the other one might go, it's a great idea. They give you the yin and the yang. This is good. Have you thought of this? Right, okay, well, why have you not thought of that? Well, no, because I didn't know that, And they give you ideas. So the one thing I know that I'm good at is I'm an ideas man, okay? I'm not a full package of implementing them ideas. I just come up with the ideas and I say to people, what do you think of this idea? And they might go, do you know what, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's a good idea, that. Do that. Or have you thought of this? And put them ideas in, And I'm in a fortunate position to be able to do that as well now, without panicking too much. Because I used to find that in business, I used to panic a lot. I panic, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Now it gives you breathing space. But that's good for your mental health, because being a director of a business, and it don't even have to be a director of a bloody business. You just have to have a job where you get good money and a family. You've got a lot of responsibility. And that responsibility is sometimes there, even subconsciously, the pressure's on you without realizing. I mean, I know that you're a dad, James, and I know that you're a dad to 2 small kids, and I've been there with small kids, and I know what the pressures are like that every day. So, you know, I like sleep, but you can suck that up here because you don't like sleep, weirdos. You know, you've got to provide.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to provide. You've got to be the disciplinarian. You've got to have the fun side. You've got the sport part, and it's just like a constant machine, 24/7. There's no let up with that. No, nothing. And you can't even reason with like small kids. They're weird. I think they should be sectioned into the back.
There's definitely no reasoning with them.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's no reasoning with them. You've got better reasoning tactics with the Taliban, put it that way. Right? So, but the point I'm trying to make is, even if you're not in business, you've got day-to-day pressures. So you need an escape. So I went and saw a psychologist, and he was so I remember going to see a cardiology nurse and having a checkup. And they said, "How are you feeling?" I went, "Well, I don't think I physically feel strong." And you got to admit, I got through my recovery fairly fast because I was very fit. So my fitness played great dividends. But mentally, I was broke, and I said, "I'm not feeling very well." And he said, "Do you need to?" I said, "I need to feed everybody." To be fair, not just like you can have to do it. Because with Sarah being a psychologist herself, it's kind of like not a closed community, but by the 6 degrees of separation, everybody knows everybody. And it transpired that he knew Sarah, but she didn't really know him, but her friends knew him and she trained with. And he's a nice guy, to be fair. The sessions went okay. I didn't feel like I was getting anything out of them. The issue we got, I think he lost a relative. I think his mother or his father, and we had to stop the sessions, and I didn't go back. But by which time, I started reading up on ACT therapy, and I'm not going to go into too much what ACT therapy is, but it's all about your value base and what's important to you as a person. You know, what you want out of life and what the type of person you want to be, as well as meditating. I started meditating. I started taking interest in Buddhism. I don't go to the Buddhist classes because I just can't be bothered because I'm a lazy git, but whatever. So I started reading up on this. And again, it's about what's important to you and what your goals are and what you want to get out. I started doing all this and I did it on a regular basis. Now I meditate at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. I do it specifically when I'm in the shower, weirdly. Because you're standing there and you cleanse, the water's on you, and it's the only time you get any bloody peace. I've got 2 dogs in the house, and it's worse than having kids, I swear. So it's the only time I get peace.
No wonder your shower broke.
Yeah, you got no idea.
Now we've got the bottom of that one.
Yeah, it broke when I got out of it, and I got the polish into it. I said, "What?" I said, "Well, you can't say anything, Sarah. You're not shower shy. You're so, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. £70 later. So, you know, been in the shower for half an hour, whatever, and that's what I'm meditation. Or I'll do it in the bedroom, depending. So I've now got, in my personal life, I've got an escapism, so I meditate. And in my business life, I've got escapism again, where I go in and I speak to somebody. They're entirely different people from different, you know, areas of business. So you get 2 different opinions. And I did that. And that's helped me dividends. But now I also, and it's a bit weird because we're in lockdown, I go to the gym to work out. And working out has been proven to be good for your mental health. So not only am I caring for my physical health, I'm caring for my mental health at the same time by meditating, offloading my problems to somebody in another business. They offload it to me as well at the same time. It's a reciprocal role. And I work out. I mean, granted, I've took the excuse of lockdown. I've not been able to work out, but I've got a gym in the spare bedroom, so I should pull my finger out. Rome wasn't built in a day. Every day for me now is a struggle. I'll not lie. It is a struggle. It's a struggle to physically go and work out, and it's a struggle to be bothered about it. You know, it's what it is. The way like that, and I think in business, you're a director, you're doing great, and that's not the case. Every director I know of is either struggling, or about to struggle. Okay, and I'm a firm believer in that you need to fail to be able to succeed. And I hate, and I don't mean you need to fail. I don't mean for 1 minute you need to fail financially. I just mean you need to fail. Okay. Hopefully, if somebody failed, they don't fail financially. I did. I failed physically and financially, big time. But then that starts you on it. You need to reevaluate yourself. And you need to do this for your mental health as well. So I nearly died 3 times, 4 times even, over the course of my recovery. Each time was taking me back down to the bottom. But when you get right down to the bottom, and it's the same in business, when you hit rock bottom and you physically can't go anywhere else, for me, it took suicide to do that. When I failed at suicide, that confirmed to me I was an utter failure. Simple as that. Because I can't even kill myself. I'm useless. So then you've got to literally stand back up on your own 2 feet and you start again. And you don't fuck about with that. You start again. You strip yourself down. You look at yourself. What's important? What's not important? And how you're going to do that. Okay? And I don't believe in any of this bollocks when they say, oh, you're a man and you need to man up. No, you're a person and you need to sort yourself out. And only you can do that. So for me, that was a long process to even understand that. Because I'm a very self-critical individual. I criticize myself more than anybody. I'm waffling.
Can it'd be just good to get your thoughts, because you've just said there, and it's something that I've always wondered about. There's a big stigma around mental health, but why do you think it is seen as a weakness? Because I find it bizarre, because it's seen as something that you've got to be really, really cautious about. Is it because when you think about it, it's nothing that anybody's ashamed of? You talk about your heart problem there, and people talk about a lot of physical problems, but then all of a sudden, when it comes to the mind, it becomes something that people are scared to talk about. I mean, I'm sure it's not a simple thing. I'm sure there's a lot of things at play.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. So if I talk about my physical health, people go, oh, yeah, heart condition. Yeah, I know about that. Or I've heard about that. Or I've had cancer. Oh, yeah, I've heard about that. Or I lost my arm. Yeah, I've heard about losing your arm. Or I've seen people who've lost their legs. But you talk about mental health and they clam up. And the reason they clam up is because we live in literally a backward, stupid society where it's not recognized about your mental health being as equally as important as your physical health. And your arm might break, but so can your mind might break. And we need to be taught that. So I'm a firm believer in education and re-education of people. So, for example, and I give a classic example of this, you've got 2 young children. And looking at, from what I've seen on the pictures, they're not in mainstream education yet. They'll be on their way there soon.
Yeah.
So once they get to, say, infant school, and again, we'll leave this to the teachers to work this one out in the education. The authorities be taught about mental health. So they might, when they talk about, poorly, someone's poorly, talk about being physically poorly. Let's try and get it without worrying people or raising anxiety about being mentally poorly. Word that and band it about. So we start educating from the very bottom all the way up. And then we can then start integrating into society that, look, it's okay to have a broken arm and it's okay to have a broken brain. At the end of the world, you're not done anything wrong. You're not a bad individual. But society and the media, and it's only recently, let's be fair, the media has changed its tune on mental health. So you might hear about, you hear these in the news, like a stabbing has taken place in London or Birmingham or Newcastle, and a man's gone on a frenzy. It's normally a man. He's gone on a frenzy. Oh, and it turns out he's a paranoid schizophrenic. Is he? All right. So he's not just cheesed off and gone off stabbing people. He's always a paranoid. Oh, it's fine. He's a paranoid schizophrenic. Cool. Don't worry about it. But what they've done is they labelise the stigma around that. You know, so who's got schizophrenia, he would never hurt anybody. It's, you know, he's more liable to hurt himself than anybody else. Do you know what I mean? He's got severe anxiety. He backs away from social situations. So it's annoying because then they labelise.
Yeah, I think for me, the big thing is it's getting to that point. The same way as if you took your nutrition or your weight, if someone was putting weight on, you'd always say, right, you need to do something before you have a heart attack. But there doesn't seem to be that in mental health to me. Someone gets a bit sad or a bit anxiety, for me, it needs to be stepped in even before that. Like, they would say, like, well, go to the gym, you haven't got a problem, but you're going to try and prevent a problem or be able to manage a problem if it comes along, a bit like yourself, Gary, where you're going to be in the best shape possible. If something unfortunate happens, or if you're in a position where you do struggle physically or mentally, but for me, it's changing society's view and the way in which we approach it, so that you should be working on your mental health, even if you classify yourself as fine. There's no reason why you can't take some time out to work on your mental health and train that side, because ultimately you're then in a better position should you be in a dire situation.
Yeah, well, because I mean, Gary, I think hit the nail on the head, because that's my belief as well about the education element, because I think fundamentally, before anything else, I think people who suffer from mental health initially don't know what it is. There's no education to sort of to say to people, you know, this anxiety, this is what anxiety looks like or may feel, or sitting down with people so they feel probably a bit lost, a bit trapped, don't know what's going on, you know, feel a bit strange. And then, you know, other people around as well don't necessarily understand that. I think that's part of the problem then, why people are scared to sort of to tackle it. And, you know, now it's that whole thing of people encouraging people to talk, which is, yeah, it's great, but it's like any other physical problem. You know, like Gary's heart, you know, he had a heart problem he didn't just want to talk about. He needed, you know, someone to perform open heart surgery. And when people start suffering with mental health, you need a professional who's qualified to then be able to help, to be able to guide, to be able to educate. And like Gary said, a lot of it's then being self-critical, looking back. But first and foremost, a lot of people just don't even know what it is. If you've never experienced it, you don't know what it is. With a broken leg, a lot of people seen pictures of broken legs. Maybe seen somebody with a broken leg, or they've seen cuts, they've seen bruises, they've done it themselves, they've felt the pain, and there's, you know, that body response. You know, you burn yourself, you get that response. You know you've done something wrong. That reminds you. You don't get that with your brain. You don't get that education. I think that is a huge gulf where we need to change, and it starts with the education system from a very young age. And also what worries me, especially with 2 kids, is we live in a time now where our lives are 100 miles an hour. People expect everything overnight, there and then. You know, we expect to order something and have it, you know, Amazon now deliver within an hour. You know, it's just, you go into a restaurant, you expect the food to be put there, and then before you even get to things like social media and everything else, there's so many causes there that we're not tackling either, which are getting completely and utterly out of control. And no wonder mental health's on the increase, but yet we don't seem to be doing anything really quickly to educate and prevent, as well as sort of helping those people who are already, you know, sort of there with it.
Yeah, I mean, society and social media is the absolute worst. It really is. So I'm on Instagram, as you know, and a lot of people base their entire lives on Instagram, on what they see and what it looks like, and all of this. And what people need to remember is social media is not the real world. Do you know what I mean? I could go on Facebook and just say, I guess I'm checking, and I can do it. I'm even here, and I can just check in at Peterlee Aerodrome, where I'm about to jump 10,000 feet out of an airplane. Ta-da! And I'm not. I'm sitting in the house. It's all a load of bollocks. It's loads of bollocks. And a lot of people then try and aspire to something that's not real. Do you know what I mean? So we've got like, and I'm sick of seeing this while we've been in isolation. I can't wait for isolation to be over just so this might stop. It's TikTok. And what I mean by that is it's the same girl I see doing the same video over and over again. She's not very creative. I mean, some of them are really creative. Do you know what I mean? Some of them I'm going, that is genius. That is good. I'm impressed with that. But then you've got her, and I'm like, that you behave. That's the same one as before that, and that, and that. But then do you know what I mean, though? But a lot of people are only seeing one particular thing, and then you've got, you know, social media influencers and some of these kind of political influence. Well, don't get me started on that because I'm ranting. But whatever.
But I think that's
social media is the worst.
That's the big thing from us, though, isn't it? And I think that's the whole idea behind our brand. And I mean, I'm delighted, obviously, let people know as well that obviously Gary, you've chosen to become an ambassador for us and obviously promote what we're trying to do in all aspects. But I think the big thing for us is trying to get people out there to promote the message of they've gone through the struggles and that it's what they see on social media isn't real life at all. And that's certainly been my motivation to put in sort of the podcast and the business together is to then obviously tap into ambassadors and hopefully get them to relay our message of these are people's highlights that they get paid money to do so in most cases by companies or brands to endorse products and put a big smile on the face. But what goes on behind the scenes is probably a lot more synergy between that and the average person that's watching than what they realise. So I think that is the crux of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's what our mission, certainly as a brand, is to open that up to the public and make them realise that if they're in a bit of depression or they're having a hard time, a lot of these people, influencers that they look up to, will have gone through the same struggles and hardships that they have.
Of course,
had a lucky break. They've been thrust in front of millions of people, usually via a TV set, and all of a sudden now they're living the high life, and people think that their life's rubbish compared to theirs. But in real life terms, it's probably not far off.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing you know, I really can't reiterate this enough. It's okay to be physically poorly. It's fine. Okay, it happens. You know, I've lost relatives over the last year, 2 aunties. One due to almost COPD, one to a brain tumor, and it's awful. I am extremely lucky that the cancer I had was caught physically poorly. It is okay to be sad. Being sad is not depressed. Sad is just a normal human emotion like being happy. You'd be sad. It's okay to be both. But it's equally okay to have depression. It's actually all right to have anxiety. I mean, I've got a cousin in Australia. He'll love this. He's a good-looking lad. He's really fit. He's an A&E nurse. He's an all-round nice lad. You know, anxiety about it on social media, and it's okay to recognise this, and it's even more okay to then go and explore help. But with people, it's okay to talk. It's okay to go out there and start speaking to people. At the same token, you've got to say to people, it's okay to listen. Don't advise, just listen. And if need be, signpost them. There's some great organisations out there, like Mind, the Recovery College in Newcastle, places like that, just to name but a few. That they're there to help, as well as the NHS. Okay, so it's like everything. It's okay to talk, but it's okay to listen. It's actually okay to be poorly, both physically and mentally. If you have depression, or depression totally different to mine, like mine is totally different to yours. Mine is no more important than vice versa. It's different for everybody. You have to find what your limit is, 2, what your recovery is, and 3, how you're going to do that. For me, it took me to come home at 8:30 and collapse on the bed and hit a brick wall. It took me then to start meditating and I'll have outside influences in terms of business that I'm going to speak to, so I can offload. And that's about as much as I can really say, you know.
Yeah. To be honest, I think, I mean, firstly, I just well, from both of us, I'm sure, but like especially for me, thank you very much for sharing the story and being so, you know, brutally honest about it, because I think that's really, really important. Really important, like you're saying, you know, like you and Sarah, you know, you laugh about the timeout thing, and I think that's quite important, you know, because why should you not? You know, you laugh at other bad times, you know, you laugh when you fall over, you do things, you know, when people's in hospital, when non-mental health related, they'll take selfies and they'll post them, they'll laugh about daft injuries, but when it comes to mental health, people just feel reluctant to talk about, and I find it, yeah, a bit weird. You know, and until it becomes normalized, it's always going to be hard. But I think for anybody sort of watching it, I think the biggest thing is to take that reassurance from someone like yourself, because I know you think it's just been a normal story, but I think to normal people, I suppose, well, not normal people, but to people who haven't been through what you've been through, it's far from a normal story. But the fact that you've come out the other side can provide reassurance, I'm sure, to many people. And I think there's a lot, like you've said as well, within that is, you know, highlighted some of the areas which I think we all feel is important. You know, sort of to, like you said, strip yourself back. You know, look at exercise and becoming healthy and meditate and doing those things that work for you, speak to other people, you know, being more sociable to a certain degree, recognizing signs perhaps that, you know, things are maybe taking a turn for the worse and acting upon them. And it's all those lessons learned. I think that goes back to what you were saying about feeling. You know, you feel, and you have that feeling, don't you? You think, I never want to get back there. And you know, those signs that you probably ignored in the past, and signs where you maybe didn't go to the doctors or whatever else, you think, actually, I'm not going to do that again. You know, that hurt last time, so I remember that still. I'm not going to let that happen. And I think that's been like the really, really good thing from sort of both parts of this. That I've found it really, really useful. I'm sure a lot of people watching will find it inspirational but reassuring at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, you know, if there's lessons to be learnt from this, is one is it is actually okay and it's good to fail. It's not a bad thing. It might feel like it's a bad thing. Believe me, when you're trying to lick your elbows to find something, a solution to something, it's not a bad thing. It's a learning curve. I once got, and I use this, and it's a bit of a ridiculous one, but I'll use it. I got taught this when I was 17. So life is a learning curve. When you're born, it's the front cover of the book. When you die, it's the back cover of the book. Everything that happens to you in your life is a page and a chapter. Some pages are short, you know, the story's short in that. Some chapters are thin, some are really big. And all the way through to learning. When you read a book, you're learning about something all the way through to the very end. That's what life experiences are like. Some things will work, some things won't work. You'll learn, and you learn, and you learn, and always take the positives from that. And if you do fail, it is what it is. It's a failure. You're not a failure, but what's happened is it's failed. You learn from it, take it on board. You wonder, you know, you identify what you can do, what you've done wrong, and how you can do it better next time. Go and put the kettle on, have a brew, go again. You're not going to die. It's fine. Go again. It's simple as that. Just keep going and going and going. I mean, while you're there, so this is all I've got left to show from a newspaper that didn't do very well, but we're not split hairs. Right, so this, I feel like Rolf Harris.
Look, you just wanted to do earlier.
You can't allow to mention Rolf Harris on this show. There might be kids watching.
Yeah. Just Google whoever Rolf Harris is. But this is a metal plate. So newspapers are printed onto metal plate, galvanized steel. And I've got that. And this is from the first ever copy. So this will be getting framed and put up somewhere as a souvenir of what went wrong. And that's now, it's not an achievement, that's a reminder of where I've gone wrong. And that'll follow me everywhere. That's failing. And I'm going to look at that and go, I did fail. and that's where I've gone wrong. And the noise on it. Genius.
Anyone that's listening on iTunes or other audio devices, make sure you head over to the YouTube channel and you can see Gary's brilliant artwork from his once in a lifetime newspaper deal. So I don't think he's going to be repeating that. But yeah, I just want to reiterate what Jim says, guys. It's been a pleasure, obviously, to have you on and tell that story. I think it's going to hopefully really hit home with a lot of people and give them comfort and support, knowing that there is other people out there that's going through the same thing and they've managed to change their life and what have you. If you are listening and you do have concerns, always feel free to obviously get in touch with us via any of our channels, via our website. There's a lot more information on things like that, and we're out there to help people, and that's the fundamentals of behind all of this. Likewise, if you have got a story that you'd like to share with anyone, or you've got comments or feedback, please type them in the comments below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and it's definitely on the agenda once we're out of lockdown. I think to meet up with Gary, and we'll certainly do another podcast on some of the hot topics and get his thoughts and opinions on some other things, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. So thanks again, Gary, and we look forward to having you on in the future.
No problem. And if anybody wants to get in contact on the social media, on Twitter, and ask me anything, as long as it's nothing about politics or economic states, then I'm happy to answer. Anything to help, honestly.
Brilliant.
But it's all good. Thanks, Howard.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.